Hi, colleagues. My name is Claudia Abar, and I am a kindergarten teacher in District 4. I'm also one of your virtual content specialists for kindergarten math. Now, as a reminder, this video is part 2 of a split lesson for lesson number 22 in Unit 5. We're going to be breaking it up into 2 days. And like we said yesterday, the reason why we're breaking them up is for a few reasons, actually. We're trying to give you additional time to practice the skills with your students. We're trying to give you additional time to implement maybe some games to continue to make the work fun, because most of our children by this point are extremely tired, and we want to make sure that we take that into account. But we also want to give you time to maybe work with some children who are not mastering the concepts. This way, allowing you to do one lesson into 2 days, it's a little bit more realistic to what the constraints of virtual teaching are. So let's go ahead and get started. So for this part of the lesson, it's again Unit 5, and now it's day 26. Day 25 was part 1, 26 is part 2. And our focus question is, how can looking at some ones help compare teen numbers? So now there's a couple of things that we talked about yesterday and a couple of the skills that we did yesterday. But let's go over what this part of the lesson looks like. We want to make sure that when the students are decomposing the numbers, the teen numbers specifically, that they say 10 ones and some ones. We want to make sure that they understand and get used to the language of some ones to only count the some ones as they count teen numbers. So let's go ahead and look into the implementation guidance. Launch the lesson by sharing slide B and ask, what do you notice? Some of the possible student responses are going to be, I noticed 2 rabbits and a lot of carrots. So let's look at that slide. You have a brown rabbit and a gray rabbit. What do you notice? Some of your students might say a lot of carrots. Some carrots are orange, some are yellow. One rabbit has more carrots than another. What else might your students say? All of the answers that they give you that are correct, go ahead and affirm those answers. We want to make sure that it's an open-ended question so that your students feel comfortable giving you answers. They might say, I noticed 5 yellows in each one. Yes, there are 5 yellows in each one. The rest are orange. How many are the rest? So go ahead and get that practice going with your students. We want to make sure that we give them as much practice sharing their answers so that they then feel comfortable participating in the lesson. Now, the next part of this lesson comes here, and it's one of the explore slides. Remember, explore slides are meant to be done independently. So if you need additional practice in your launch, if you need additional suggestions, we'll give you some in a few minutes. So go ahead and this for your students, count and type the number, which they can do right here. Drag the check mark to more or less to make the statement true. Is 19 more than 15? Is it less than 15? So then they will be dragging the check mark here, like this, or here, and then of course typing the numbers. There are 2 exploration slides in here. Now, if you find that your students need additional practice, we'll be creating a video of some additional tools and some additional apps that you can use to create those, and go ahead and send them to your students in advance. Now, yesterday's question for the summary slide was a very open-ended question. How do you know if one number is more than another? You took some notes yesterday, we hope. And some of those notes for us were, some friends said that when you think of teen numbers as 10 ones and some ones, you can compare just the sum ones to get to which number is greater. Does that work? And for this particular example, we are using the Explore slide from today. So let's go right back to that Explore slide. You can use this as your summarizing. And you would ask your students, how do you know if one has more than the other, if one number is more? Your friend said that we can just compare the sum ones. Can we do that? So there's a couple of ways that you might want to visualize this for your students. You might want to help them visualize. You might want to color all of these slides in yellow, which I'm going to do very rudely here, and then allow them to see that all of the ones here are the 10s, and the 10 ones are all the same, right? And then the other ones here in blue at this point, which one has more? And obviously you'll do a significantly better job than I'm doing. Maybe you just want to do dots so you don't have this mess. Which one is more? How do you know? So these questions require a little bit more in-depth thought by the student. We don't want them to be open-ended, because what we really want to do is gauge whether they are understanding that we can just count the sum ones and not the entire thing. Is 19 more than 15? Yes. How do you know? I counted the sum once and there were 9, and here there were 5. 9 is more than 5. This helps your students in a few different ways. It helps them because not everyone might be comfortable with the, oops, sorry about that. Not everybody might be comfortable with say, sorry, my train just left. Not everyone might be comfortable counting the team numbers so far, but they can definitely count the single digits. They can definitely count that 9 is more than 5. So this is one way to help those students also understand this concept. Let's go back into the summary slide, which I just highlighted. So if you prepare one of the two students, and this is something that you can do as we do more of this work, you have a chance to get more of your students to answer. This is also a formative assessment, so you can actually go ahead and just ask those students, how do you know? What does this tell you? Some friends said, this is the question that we asked. And then an additional slide that we wanted to highlight, I apologize, going all over the place, guidance for assessment during instruction. It's always very good to keep this slide in mind when you're doing the summary. Summary, guidance usually comes before. Represent team numbers decompositions as 10 ones and some ones, and compare the some ones to compare the numbers. Understand the meaning of more than, less than, and equal to. So if you want your children to represent team number decompositions as 10 ones and some ones, we recommend using the number bonds, which you have done a million times by now. Your students are very comfortable with the number bonds because I know mine are. And we'll want them to show 10 ones and some ones and just really compare the some ones to figure out which one is more, which one is less. I know this video has been a little bit long and wordy. I hope that it's helped you, and I hope that it makes your lessons even more engaging. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.